Hello, friends. The music in this episode was composed and performed by our next guest. If you like what you hear, or if you'd like to know more about our guest, the information will be in the show notes. Enjoy the show. Hey, what is up? Welcome to Life and Conversation. I'm Shiwi,
Not me too.
and today we have a very special guest. Please welcome Martin Espino. What's up, Martin?
Just being here and barely alive. Just woke up. The
Yeah,
dead
we're
do
all still
walk.
waking up.
I feel like I'm still awake. I haven't even slept.
You mean still asleep?
No,
See, that's when you know you.
no, I'm just still awake. I feel like my day hasn't ended. It's still from
Oh, like you never slept?
yeah, still keep on going.
Oh, that's called being a dad.
Oh yeah, I know that, but it's just
Yeah, cold food and stuff like that.
yeah,
Eating at
survival
weird
food.
hours. Yeah, wondering why you did this.
Yeah,
So tell us about yourself, Martin.
Oh God, I don't know. I like long walks on the beach and
a little
movies.
single biography coming up.
That's right.
Or
That's right.
I guess we
Yeah,
can start.
I have always been interested in who I am.
Hmm.
I've always been an artist, drawing things, and for the longest time, like I started wondering, who am I? What am I doing? And I must have been around 11 or 10 or maybe 9 or 10. I can't remember exactly. And there was this commercial on television of this kid going upstairs and looking in the mirror and just getting himself ready. And just one second here, hold on, Charlie. I'm not going to play with you right now. Go.
Yeah, we must be all dog lovers because I'm getting like everybody that we kind of have a guest on. We have like dogs, and
Yeah, well, this clown's coming over with this squeaky toy, wanting me to play it with him. Jesus. But anyway, so this kid's looking in the mirror, right? And you hear the mother going, come on down to dinner. And he turns around and going, okay, I'll be there in a minute. And then he looks in the mirror going, who am I? And I remembered, I don't know what the commercial was about. It was like a long time ago, like I said. And I was thinking, that's stupid. What do you mean, who am I? Come on, man. I'm Martin Espino. I live on 8104 Holmes Avenue, Los Angeles, California. Who am I? Where am I from? And so that commercial kind of started things off that were already there. I was always interested in looking at what do you call them? Science fiction movies. My brother turned me on to that.
Oh, I love science fiction.
Yeah,
When
so
it's good.
Yeah, I like it when it's bad too.
When it's bad too?
Yeah.
what makes
mean
what makes it bad and good?
Like the cheesy ones?
Yeah, the 50s and 60s. The 50s more, the 60s a little less, and everything else. I mean, the only thing in the new stuff is like Terror Vision. I like that because a couple of friends of ours worked in that movie. And I like that, and some of the and definitely all the things that I think they're called Blue Moon did, like the Reanimator.
Okay. After the show, I got to tell you about the show The Expanse that's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's really good.
Okay.
It's really
Tell me
good.
about that, please. Yeah. And it turns out a whole lot of things are interconnected. I like all those old movies, like those really cheesy movies that I think it's called Blue Moon, that Charles Band produced. And then I thought, Charles Band, wait a minute, that's my friend Richard Band. When I went to high school, that's my friend Richard. He's a composer. And then I was looking at the screen. I go, Richard Band composer. I go, oh shit, I know Richard. So been calling him for a long time. He finally wrote me back, and so we're connecting. I might work on a movie with him, and all he does is horror and bizarre gore stuff. Yeah,
Man,
he did Reanimator
that's cool.
and a whole bunch of other ones.
I did. I watched that movie that you did some music for. The
Old ways.
The Old Ways. Yeah, that was good. I like that movie.
Yeah. It's not a classic. It's a horror movie. It's it's.
What was that movie? Old Ways.
The Old Ways.
When did
it's
it
good.
come
I
out?
think it's on Netflix.
And ever since that movie's come out, everybody does exactly the same thing you do. After they go, the what?
It basically deals with ancient Mexican spirits.
Oh, actually, not
like the shaman, and they speak Nahuatl, and it's good. I liked it.
The curandera captures her, seeing this Chicana's got a demon in her, and they capture her and they try to cure her of the demon.
Yeah, it's kind of like an exorcism movie, but it's very different than the traditional exorcism.
All right,
because it deals with like curandesmo and ancient spirits and stuff.
Interesting.
And I got my opinions about the movie. There's a whole bunch of things that are just absolutely. I told the director, I says next time you do the movie, just shit. The curandera is not a bruja.
Yeah.
I mean, a curandera is a healer. It's somebody that heals.
Is it?
The Spaniards were the ones that put the word bruja in it.
They brought that concept from Europe over here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What does curandera stand for anyways? To me, it sounds like somebody that cures.
That's all. I told one lady. This lady came to me one time at a festival, and she's looking at all my instruments, and my CDs are on the table. She picks up my record called Curandero, and she goes she looks at me like this. She goes,
like, really? I'm just like...
And I'm going like, don't start. The first thing I told her, don't start. I said, if you look up the word curar, it means to cure. You look up the word curandero, it's one who cures. That's your husband massaging your neck, getting rid of your headache. That's your daughter hugging you, making you feel better when you're crying. That's a cure.
Exactly.
And one who does that actively is a curandero or curandera. And that's
I also believe that extends to people that spread love and positivity in other people's lives, because that's medicine for the soul.
Yeah. And in many ways, you guys are curanderos because you're opening up people's minds and showing. Look at the way someone else thinks. Jesus, there's some people that think differently than you.
Yeah.
You may not like what I think, but I may not like what you think, but that's not the point. The point is that, you think what you want to think and you feel what you want to feel, and that's who you are. That's what makes people, I really like John because he thinks this way, fine, but the point is to open up respect for everyone.
Yeah. Diversity of thought and how we think differently.
It's just like me is curious in other people's minds, just what's going on in their mind. How do they see what's going on there?
That's right.
And I believe through connecting and speaking with other people of different worldviews, that we brought our sense of connection, and also we're not as hateful because we relate to them. Oh, they have different opinions. They're also
we hope that people aren't as hateful period, or anything negative. Just you hear somebody different, and that's what they are. They're different. That's all. You don't say I don't like it or hate it. And yeah. But you guys are curanderos too. You're opening. We all have those aspects in us. And so that's what that whole thing. And the only other thing I don't want to talk about the movie so much, but the only other thing I didn't like was the girl, the way they cast her. That she was just cussing all the time, and I got really tired of it. It was that was boring. Everything was F this, F that, F that, F this, F that, F that. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, what got you into music? Because I came across you I bought your Meso. I know you don't like the term Mesoamerican, but like the ancient Mexican music.
Yeah.
And you play the instruments. You make your own instruments, which is beautiful and awesome. But and I came across you that way. I bought your music, and we just started conversating. And what got you into music, and especially the music of our ancestors?
Well, wait a minute. I didn't finish the first question.
Oh,
I
sorry.
know. I was kind of still on that too. I was like, well,
Oh,
kind
sorry.
of alleviated
Yeah,
from the question.
hold that thought, Shiwi. Okay, and Charlie, you hold the thought. Charlie keeps coming over to me. He's the prehistoric rat from hell. Get out of here, okay? And yeah, he thinks I'm calling him when I say anything. It means food. Did you say food, Charlie? Food. Yeah, but no. About me, I've always wondered who I am, and that fused everything. That got me to get into my culture and what I do, and with the science fiction, what happened with that. It's really, really cool. I'll give you a good example. My brother turned me on to all this stuff when I was like 6, 7, or older. I don't know how old I was, and he would sit me down. We'd watch The Thing, or Invaders from Mars.
Yeah, that one's a good movie.
Back then on television over here in LA, they had shows like The Outer Limits, the black and white series that was on in the early in 1962.
Yeah.
And I was watching that and I was going like, God, I can't believe I used to watch this stuff. I mean, it was if you ever seen the black and white Outer Limits ones, they are psychodramas. There's people
I've seen
crying.
some of them.
Yeah, people crying, people screaming, people hearing weird sounds, people not understanding themselves, people not knowing what love is, or or anything like that, or sharing. And these movies would include the monsters, but it was also this human drama that was going on, and it made me aware. It was the only show I ever watched that had definite human drama. And Star Trek had some things.
Have you seen the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, all those things like that. But they didn't deal. They dealt more in a scary, mysterious thing. But the Outer Limits always included some kind of human element, and they would have a voice at the beginning that would introduce the show.
Yeah,
the show would begin, and at the end, they would do like, in the long run, the to know yourself means to love. To love yourself means to love everybody, or whatever they would say.
Wow.
And this has been the episode of the Outer Limits, and they close out.
Well, now I have to revisit it.
We should start the show like that.
I love the beginning. Is do not attempt to.
Yeah,
touch
that's a
your
good idea,
television.
Frank.
We should start the show.
Do
like
not
that.
adjust your. We will control the screen. We will control the vertical and the horizontal. And I love that because it comes on that do not attempt to touch your television. I love that.
Now you're giving us ideas on how to start the podcast.
Yeah, I remember all that.
You should
It's
do something like that. Yeah, watch the beginning of the Outer Limits.
Yeah.
And and then also for some weird reason, all the strange sounds. I've always liked the flying saucer sounds. This is leading somewhere. All the odd sounds. We were watching these things. I love dinosaurs, and every boy loves dinosaurs. So I was watching this movie called 1 Million Years BC with Raquel Welch. Man, she looks great in that fur-covered outfit. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is.
I see the trailer for that.
You never seen that movie? You have to watch it just to see her.
No, I didn't know who you were speaking of. But
Raquel Welch, the famous Latina actress.
Okay.
And and she was a big what do they call sexy actress that everybody liked back then in the 60s and stuff like that. Absolutely, she looks incredible right now. She's like 80 or something. It's just like, wow. That's great. But anyway, she's in the movie, and there's a fight scene between the guy who loves her and the guy's brother who want to be. There she is. Yeah. And they want to be. One wants to be the leader of the tribe because the brother, the bad one, kills the father. And so they start fighting, and in the fighting scene, I was always wondering why this moved me or did something to me. You hear this. Like somebody put in popcorn kernels in a skillet, and then was hitting rocks together. And there's no rhythm. There's no rhythm in it. It's like
that's a good description.
And something about that soundtrack stayed with me till right now, this very second. And so I became very, very interested in sound and all the strange sound effects they did on the Outer Limits, which I was later reading. And of course, I got the Outer Limits handbook and was reading how they did their sounds, like recording tigers and dogs barking and mixing them together and putting them reverse and slowing them down. So that's how they got all their monster sounds. They used to make this stuff.
It
And
reminds me how they did the sound for the roar of Godzilla in the 50s. I think it's
what
like
did they say about that? I
I,
always loved that one.
I think it's like strings of a violin, and then they play it, and it's like with I forgot with what, and then it's slowed down really slow.
That was that
So
the
it's
growl of
strings of
Godzilla.
an instrument
Yeah,
that's
the
used and it's
growl of
slowed
Godzilla
down.
in the 50 movies is the most insane growl I've ever heard.
They used to use
You know?
pig noises though. One
Mm.
time in some movies.
Oh, they use a whole
That's
lot of
cool.
isn't it called Foley noises also?
Foley
Yeah.
is the act of doing that. So I've done a lot of Foley, I guess you could say, like in the old ways or in El Muerto, lots of Foley where I go boom on a big whale, boom, or get my fingernails and scratch the drum way. You know, or using my voice going, you know, and chanting in Nahuatl while I did
Was
all
that
that.
you in the movie doing that?
Yeah, I'm doing all the demonic voices and stuff like that, and in
Oh,
El
okay.
Muerto with Wilmer Valderrama, we did that in 2007. I'm doing a lot of Foley on there, plus I'm helping. So the composer basically called me and said, you know, and same thing for us. They always they both called me and said, Martin, I'm the composer, blah blah blah. Can you do sound effects for me? And I'm going to place you in different parts of the movie. So for El Muerto, I got a call from the composer. It goes, "Hey, Martin, it's Tony. You're all over the movie." And I thought, great. So you hear weird sounds. The lady turns, you hear, and that was my rattle. She turns her head, you know, or death going. That's my wind whistle or a death whistle thing. And yeah, that's like hello, and that's what we did with all that stuff like that. So because of the things that my brother did with putting me in science fiction and everything like that, and me being interested in sound, that when I heard these weird sounds later on, I get a little older. I'm about 11 years old. I'm learning to play electric guitar. See, my explanation is long, right? And I hear Jimi Hendrix doing, and I thought I was able to listen to that totally easy. A lot of my friends are going, "Why is he making all that noise?" I go, "This is cool. I love feedback and screaming and screeching and loud drums and things like that." And because I was used to hearing all those weird science fiction sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I later on, somehow I can't remember where, I heard Antonio Cepeda, who's the big godfather of this whole movement of
Oh, I
playing
love
these
his
instruments.
music.
Yeah. And Antonio Cepeda was doing all these sounds, and I must have been, you know, I know I must have heard him in the 60s. Those very dissonant instruments that would, with the vibrating notes, and, you know, and I wish I could explain them here, and you can't explain it in words. It's just when you put notes that don't belong together on a piano or a guitar, they're tuned well-tempered. That's another explanation, but they're tuned a certain way that when you put notes that don't belong together in your ear, you'll hear them as being very dissonant, very bitter, very nasty. But when you're playing microtonal instruments where they're not completely pitched the same way the European instruments are, like instruments from Asia and Africa and stuff like that, they're tuned microtonally, but they don't sit there and intend it. They just tune into okay, that sounds good. What's the next note? You know, and they don't calculate the distances between each note. Like I said, that's another totally different explanation on sound that I'd be happy to talk about. And when you have microtonal instruments and you play notes that are normally really dissonant and really bad on contemporary European instruments, that the microtonal things give off all these other frequencies. They start vibrating and they give external frequencies off. And the Mexican instruments some of them generate some intense, bizarre sounds. I'll be playing a double flute, one sound, a second sound, and your ear will be hearing a third sound.
Wow.
You know, and that's the liquid in the eardrum vibrating with it. So it's your ears creating these sounds, and very, very intense, cool stuff. And they knew what they were doing with these instruments. I mean, there's instruments that I'm going to play this thing now. It sounds like like some kind of spaceship, but you cannot play a melody on these things. So the very first thing to realize is going, okay. Roberto Velasquez, a researcher in Mexico, put it a good way, that there are instruments that play melodics And there are instruments that play, and these are talk about wind instruments that are noise generators, and I love that, noise generators. So there are eagle sounds, jaguar sounds, wind, and the screaming of the people and things, bizarre sounds. And so we know that when you have an instrument that can't play a melody, we know they used it for something. What did they use it for?
Yeah.
You know, could be, there's all kinds of theories. There's the wacky theories that, if you do a certain vibration, you can levitate a boulder, and those are, I'm looking at the real stuff that I know of that's provable right now, that certain sounds could cause relaxation, sleepiness, states of meditation, different kinds of mental, spiritual states. And also, for instance, like very high pitches can cause states of high alertness. So you want to wake somebody up, you play high-pitched lapizales. You want to scare somebody, you play those real dissonant notes with high pitches, like the one the documentation the Spaniards had said one time that when they were attacking Tenochtitlan, the Mexicas came out and they said they were blowing all sorts of high-pitched whistles and trumpets, and the sound of all of it was quite terrifying. So they were using sound as a weapon.
I could imagine.
They used sound as a weapon.
Psychological warfare.
Yeah. When you hear one of these instruments by itself, imagine 50 of them or 100 of them.
Yeah, the death whistles. Is that what he's talking about? The death whistles,
yeah,
right?
That's another word I don't really like either. I'll tell you why. My good friend Javier, he's the master of all these making clay instruments. Javier made a skull out of clay, and he made the mechanism that makes the wind sound. He stuck it in there. He made it because you can manipulate these instruments to where they sound like screaming, wind, jaguars growling, just wind. And Javier manipulated it so that he would get the screaming voice sound. So I'm at his house one time. He and I were very close, and God rest his soul. He passed away last year, right? And there's this drum that must have been like, can't even tell you, 3.5 feet tall and about 7, 8 inches deep, and it's hanging behind me. I'm sitting on the floor, and he shows me this death whistle. Because it's a death whistle, and he goes, "Martino, I want you to sit back and close your eyes and just relax, and I want to play this beautiful sound for you." And so he blows he hits the drum really hard with a big fat mallet, so all you hear is the tone. You don't hear the attack. You hear like those big bass speakers that people have in their cars, only live.
Yeah.
When you hear that sound acoustically live, it's a different game. I don't care what speaker you got, ain't nothing compared to live acoustic, lower frequencies played in the drum. And he blows the death whistle at the same time. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm just like, Jesus, what happened? Javier's over there laughing. And that's what happened. But see, he called that one the death whistle because that was a specific sound, right? And I have several of them that make different sounds. One of them particularly makes more of a wind sound. And when I do meditations, I do this sound where I'm going, and then when I loop it, it goes on forever, and I'm playing all these low flutes which low pitches cause people to relax. No one's ever come over to me and go, "Hey, wasn't that a death whistle?" It's like a guitar. And this is where my criticism comes into things like that. A guitar can play death metal, and the guy's going, and then you go turn around, and you get Burl Ives going, "It's a sunny day," playing a baby song. So what do you call it? A lullaby guitar or a death guitar? A wedding guitar.
Okay.
There's no such thing. It's a guitar. And so the name of the instrument that I have to call it is ehecat, which is the Nahuatl word for wind or solar wind. And that sounds a lot better than death whistle. What happened was when Javier started producing and showing these things that as what he called death whistle, because he and I had this conversation. He agrees with me or agreed with me. that instrument he made was a death whistle. The other ones are made specifically for just generating nice wind sounds, and so that's how that whole thing of how I feel about that. That's why I don't call them death whistles. I call them a hecat. A hecat because I can make the scream if I want to, like I did in the movie, or I can do a very soft sound for a meditation. And you got to think that way about the instruments.
Yeah, and I've heard.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a death drum, and a wedding drum.
Yeah.
Maybe different instruments had back then. They did have instruments for different purposes, but they would, let's say, they used a teponazli, a log drum, for a certain kind of festival, and they would guard. There's some documentation where they would guard certain instruments for certain occasions, and that's a different bag. That's not the saying that the Huitzilopochtli drum. It's for the ceremony. They sanctified these instruments. So that's basically the long story short. To get back to the idea, that's who I am. I like sound. I've always been oriented towards sound, and now it's turned into a different thing. I'm telling more about myself now that I've always been interested in how sound helps people, because I was noticing over the years when I play these instruments, people have a definite they're affected by the sound. And I remember a lot of people coming over going, "Are you a curandero?" And I'm going, "No, why?" Because when you play that, it put me into another state of mind. And I kept hearing that over and over from all kinds of people. And I thought, something's going on. There's not this new age people coming over. There's not just these people that are just want to say something. They're actually feeling something. What is going on? And there's something scientific. But during that whole time, I was trying to ask people that I knew, that knew something, even anything, or people that said they were into sound healing, and all I was hearing was, "Well, you're connecting to the reptilian residents of the Pleiades star system, and you're channeling their sounds."
What does that mean?
I don't know.
The reptilian what?
The reptilian ancestors, and you're channeling spiritual sounds from solar vibrations. And I go, "Oh God, that's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, why does this sound work physically, physiologically?" There's an explanation. I came across the word neuroscience, and that got me into. Now I know things that you can do with sound to manipulate an audience. It's really cool.
From what I'm getting right now, what I'm getting from you is, I'm sorry, I didn't kind of want to cut you off there for a second, but it's just you're more intrigued in sound and effects and music and pretty much audio and everything that feeds into your ear, kind of, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's affecting, and thus it's affecting people.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's a different what do you call it? Senses. It's a different part of our sense, I guess. Since there's visual, smelling, hearing.
Oh yeah.
Tasting. So I mean, I feel like you're amplified more in sound. How do you? Is that how you feel like more connecting towards like back into their ancestor roots, or trying to figure out?
Yeah, they did. They knew what they were doing. Yeah, they knew what they were doing with sound. They knew sound could do certain things to certain people. Of course, during the invasion, a lot of the people that knew things got killed, and the teachers and everything. So a lot of this knowledge, we don't know where it is. Some people know some things in Mexico.
A lot of it was lost.
Yeah, you visit curanderos in Mexico, or people that know things. They do know things, but I think a lot of it there's a lot of things being.
Why do you think that is
modern stuff? Well, it's just when you lose the actual teachers and stuff like that, you start getting people who are know something, but they're also making guesses. We don't.
Do you feel like that's how some of the because my thought is sometimes when history is being taught, it kind of gets erased or translated differently. You know, I
Yeah,
have
it gets changed.
yeah,
It's like that little
rewritten.
thing that people always say. You get 10 people in a row, and you go, "I'm going to tell you a secret," and as the secret
Exactly.
goes on,
Yeah,
it
the tail song.
changes. Yeah, yeah.
You
So
change a little, yeah. And then by the
that's
end of
part
the
of it.
line, you get something totally different.
I feel like that's a modern thing
I think it's
because
always happened to people.
before it has, but before there was the oral tradition, before books were more
Yeah,
common,
and
like
that's a
people
different thing.
they
Yeah,
had more discipline.
yeah.
It was different. It was more disciplined, but it was
hmm
verbally passed on. But we lost that, and now it just each time it gets passed on,
And let's add a little,
it becomes something else or a
yeah,
little
add a
bit
little
change.
different
Yeah,
spice onto it, and it changes as it goes on. Yeah, but which is a very talk about what human is. That's a very human thing because we add something on, we change things. We don't always think and say, "Well, I should say this exactly the way it was." No, I think I'll add a little word just to be a little more dramatic. And next thing you know, you're changing
yeah.
the story. You're changing the song, things like that, and that's what's leads
I
into a
think
nice word, but kind of a sad one, for me, called living tradition. You know, some people will get mad, but there's certain traditions that are alive right now that are changed from the original. Like one of them is the Aztec dance. You know, the way the outfits are, they didn't have outfits like that back then.
No,
Yes,
I
they did,
have
Martin.
seen the
Yes, they
outfits.
did, Martin. You're wrong. No, I'm
Yeah.
not wrong. I do the research. Do the
No,
darn
some of the
research. They
yeah,
didn't
some
have them
of
split up to
the
the side,
costumes that they
showing all the
got
hip.
is just like a little ridiculous. It's kind of a little too loose too. I was like, I'm pretty
it's too
sure they
loose, and
wouldn't.
it's too. It looks like it could be bought at like a very expensive costume store.
Well, they
Like it's
didn't
not something
have.
that's like
Yeah.
that's home. That's like
Mm.
handmade.
I would imagine more like body paint and feathers and more of that, but I don't know
Yeah.
about
And natural
like
natural natural
like
fibers like that cotton. They didn't have pink lame with sequins back then. You know, they may have been decorating it with precious stones that give reflections. That understand pieces of obsidian to make. You don't see people with those outfits because that's number one. Hard to find people that work in obsidian, and when you do, you got to have them make. Can you make like a hundred things of a brilliant shining material and polish every single one of them and make them into buttons so I can sew them into my outfit? You got to you got to really be into this stuff, you know, or
yeah.
using
Do you know
paint.
any other people
Okay,
that know about like the costumes?
um, the, every individual knows something, but a whole lot of them don't know original ideas, and what they were made of, or we're not being taught to study and research into this. I mean, I'm not saying
I feel
anything
like
wrong about it. Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people are also thinking that their way is because I mean there's got to be something that leads up to them believing that, you know. I mean they could have done their history, looked up costumes también, or even into the
But
instruments and
there
stuff,
was a whole
you
bunch
know.
of things blocking us. There's no book that says outfit ideas from ancient Mexico that aren't translated through Eurocentric thought. That'd be a nice book. Here's pictures of the actual garments. They're not there. There's
Yeah.
no book that says everything that you were lied to about or were never told in the last 600 years. Wow, I'd love to see that book. You know,
Yeah, I've seen pictures of people doing the closest recreation of based on what they know of
uh huh,
actual accounts and descriptions,
yeah,
and it looks awesome.
yeah. There's some really good stuff out there too, and because they're doing the research, there's one book. I hate the name of the book, and I think they should have done a way better job in it. It's called Indian Clothing Before Cortez. I don't need to hear about Cortez, number one. You know,
Yeah,
and also we're not Indian. We're not from New Delhi or Mumbai. I'm not criticizing nobody. I'm just saying we're not Indians, and everybody knows that story.
yeah,
I'll ask little kids, and they go, where does that come from? And they're going, oh, the Columbus thing. There's a lot more people that know that's being taught, and they know that. But yeah, and all that stuff is frustrating. But the book is called Indian Clothing Before Cortez. Patricia Anna Walt, I'm not sure if she's still at UCLA, but she's done her research into the outfits. And there's a lot of really great historical. Yeah, a lot of great historical. It's the only book that I've seen. How about this? The only book that you can buy that I've seen that's not a reference book. There's reference materials, and there's a lot of books that haven't been translated from the Nahuatl to the Spanish to the English, so that we could understand more about what all these teachings are about. That's one
I got
thing
a
that's
question
blocking.
for you.
Yeah.
Seeing how it was from the past, and then now that we're living in the present, where do you think we're heading?
Oh God,
that's a good question. But in terms of like our people or just people in general?
Or people, or cultura, just in everything in general también.
That's a good one. That's a lot to unpack.
Marvin Gaye said it really good. God knows where we're headed. And it's like there's so much stuff going on.
Do you believe in God?
There's so much. Oh yes, I do. Yeah, that's for me. Number one, we don't research. We're not taught to study. We're taught to look on the internet and see what it says. And somebody puts up their own idea, which is totally wrong or filtered by some of their thoughts. So in other words, it's so cloudy. No one's ever, hardly anybody going, research the actual documents. Where do I find them? Ask somebody that knows. How do I do that? But next thing you know, I don't want to do that. And a whole lot of people that are into our movement, they don't do any of that. I'm not putting them down. I'm not getting anybody mad. I'm just saying, tree falls down. Martin, what happened? Tree fell down. That's an observation that I've seen over the years. I've asked many people about how much they know about what they do, and they know the dances, they know the outfit, they know the instruments, they know the name, they know the names of the calendar better than I do. But did they do all the research on as much as they can? And it's not anybody's fault. What I'm saying, it's the material, the availability of materials fault. These things that aren't translated, somebody do that, please. Instead of coming out with the next hip hop historian. Record, yeah, instead of being the next hip hop star in reggaeton, be the next hip hop star in researching our materials, so we can preserve this stuff later. Or just encourage finding the materials. I mean, everything I learned was from a little sentence in a codice that I read somewhere that was translated, and then 2 paragraphs from a book that's out of print that I hate, but you can't get it, and a couple of magazine articles that were written by where they interviewed a researcher. I mean, it's the information's everywhere. It's not in one spot, and you won't find it.
It's like a puzzle that you get pieces.
Yeah. So how can I tell you where we're going to be going in several years and with the cultura? The information is everywhere. It's not in one spot. We're not being taught to research. And I get a lot of people that when now you can buy these instruments that I have. You can buy them on the internet because people are here making them. There are people here making them that don't research, and they don't really know about. They know how to make clay. They know how to make the mechanism that makes a sound. They don't know how to tune. Or they go, oh, all the instruments were pentatonic. That's a 5-note scale. La da 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 da. That's the only scale they had in ancient times. That's bullshit. There were tons of different tuning. The parallel minor thirds, augmented thirds. What are you talking about, Martin? Well, I've done the study. I've done the work. I know music. That's why I know what I'm talking about. I mean, microtonal scale. What's that? Look it up. Microtonal scales, chromatic scales, whole tone scales, augmented third scales, parallel, tritone scales. They have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And then tone clusters, where there's some instruments that I have one instrument that produces tone clusters. You can't. It's like a chord, only it's so dissonant and out of, and not tuned equally like the Europeans are. When you start putting tons of notes that are microtonal together, you don't get a chord or a dissonant. You don't get a pretty chord or a dissonant chord. You start getting pretty chords, dissonant chords, or you start getting these weird tone clusters that vibrate. And this one instrument that I have can do that. I just play a series of notes, and you can't even tell what note it is. The thing's vibrating like crazy.
I say, I feel like in this day and age too, we're so passive with information. It's just you Google it and whatever first answer.
We're not taught
I believe
to look
we
at
lost
ourselves.
the curiosity.
Yeah. Or not only lost it, we're not being taught to regain it. We're not even be taught to even go look at it.
Yeah.
And
it's just not just that subject, but just in life, to be curious about life. Remember how when we were children, we were always curious about everything, asking questions, reading, and very curious to learn about the world and ourselves. And as we get older, many of us lose that, and we just become passive.
Yeah, we start thinking, oh, that's what kids do. I go, that's what adults do. Adults worry about why is this happening in the climate? Why is this happening with the food that I eat? No, and that's what kids do.
No, I believe that's what humans do, but we've just been, part of us has been repressed and domesticated.
Domesticated, yeah. We're all busy. What do you call it? We're all busy free ranging right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget life. Forget what it really means. Put on the latest outfit, and you're looking good, and just go ahead out there and go free range at a club, and or in your own social circle, and so I have a lot of really, really, really critical things that I could say, and some of them are really, I praise a lot of things, but definitely one thing, we are not, forget about what I think. This is a definite observation. We're not being taught to investigate.
Yeah.
I had another question for you too. I remember we spoke quite a bit ago, and then I asked you a question that kind of like, I feel like it's a question that everybody asks you kind of in a way, like in general. It's like asking you, where did you find your first inspiration to start getting into this world that we're knowing from you right now, like into your audio or your background into knowing the history.
All that
history of ancient Mexico.
All that stuff comes from an early fascination of sound that I talked about earlier. I mean, I didn't know the flying saucer sounds in a 50s movie and Jimi Hendrix with bizarre, weird sounds coming out was going to make me accept I even hate to say strange sounds or weird sounds from our instruments, because for the ancestors, those were normal sounds. They liked those sounds. And so that's why I like to use the word microtonal, because the microtonal explains a lot of these sounds. So I didn't know that I was being prepared to accept the sounds of my ancestors. So when I heard them, I thought, these aren't out of tune. These are cool. They're vibrating. They're making really weird sounds, and I like this. And I was captivated by it. I'm drawn to sound. I mean, even now, if there are certain voices that will just resonate within me, and even that's a neuroscience term. If you bow a violin and you have another violin sitting on the table and they're both tuned the same, and I bow the G string on the violin on the table will vibrate, because the vibration comes out, and it's called sympathetic vibration.
Wow. Some people believe that sound is also a way of kind of like for people's conscience that exists. So they don't live like physically formed, but we live like in a sound form. Did you know that?
Wow. I had to really think about that, but that sounds quite plausible. Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I can experience that when I listen to music growing up. Like, I always felt emotions more deeper when I listened to music, but not music, because my favorite kind of music is the music without lyrics, because I just love the flow and the sound of the music itself. And that allows me to experience thoughts and emotions deeper.
Yeah, you are neurologically, you're rewarded with different hormones. The feel good hormones. Dopamine and stuff like that. I love that word, dopamine.
Dopamine. That's dopamine.
Yeah, dopamine. Yeah, and I forget what I did some of the research in it. Se me fue. I gotta go back and study again. unfortunately, I'm not one of those guys that can read a book and then completely memorize it forever. I have to go back and read it again.
Yeah, that's you.
Which
He could memorize that.
Sort of. There's some things I can, and some things like I remember the information, but I don't always remember what book I got it from.
Yeah, and that's me too. That's me too.
But in a way, that's better because you're absorbing the information as opposed to just absorbing. Oh, it's this book, and I forgot what it said, but it's this book.
Yeah,
so it's better that way.
As long as you know, I said this. I said that same thing to other people. And I go, all I could tell you was definitely an authoritative well-researched book. That's where I got it from, but I don't remember who it was. It was good stuff. Yeah.
So would you say that? So then, music was your vehicle for learning our history of our ancestors, and was that the doorway for you to research into ancient Mexico?
I think probably art did it for me, because before I was playing those instruments, I was playing music, but my first instrument was guitar, and I was doing all those things like Hendrix too back then. But what got me during my period of art, and most of my musician friends were all the real good ones. They were all artists. They all were painters and drawers and sculptors and things like that. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, no. Art had a lot to do with it, because I remembered I was copying. I was going to the library looking at books, and I saw a cover of the Mayans, and I picked those books and I would copy those drawings and with first with tracing paper, and then later on from just putting a book over here and drawing it over here, or making. I used to make jewelry and things like that, and back then in the 70, 71, 72, nobody was interested in that.
And this was before the Chicano movement?
It was like right about the beginning of the Chicano movement. So, it's like, yeah, it was so funny. I mean, I look at it back now and I go, what I'm doing is actually cool. I make a living making strange microtonal sounds, and demonic voices for movies, and educating kids on these sounds and songs and languages that they don't even know, and everybody gets turned on and go. So I'm cool now, but back when I was learning this stuff, people were going, "What is that? That sounds out of tune. That sounds really weird."
Like that noise right now.
Yeah. I wasn't cool back then. Now it's okay. I noticed in the audience's comments to me, I don't get any more comments of, weren't the Aztecs bloodthirsty, violent people? I used to hear that back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And what'd you tell them?
Oh, I would go, well, it's the Spanish didn't tell you their half of it, read some of those other things. Read, Diego de Landa's, Relaciones de las Cosas de Yucatan, or whatever the name book is, talks about all that stuff, the horrible things they did. Or
by the way, I read that book.
Diego Duran?
I read that book you recommended, The Broken Spears.
Yeah.
I really love that book. How it tells the account of the conquest from the writings of or at least from the perspective of the indigenous population, as opposed to the European perspective.
Good. I'm going to ask you, get rid of the word conquest.
I don't like it either, but I don't know what else to call it.
I call it the invasion. They came in and they invaded our stuff when we were busy having a good time.
Yep. Well, good time for some. Good time. The Mexica ruled with an iron fist in the surrounding area. So
yeah, they weren't exactly the nicest guys in the world. All those, they were spiritual. There was I forget who it was. I think it was Stevenson had said that some of the Mexica are really good. He goes, they were a militaristic spiritual nation. And that's they were militaristic, and they
believe in sacrifice también, que no? I mean, there's everywhere.
Way of doing it. Yeah, and it wasn't all the Mexicans that believed it. It was it wasn't. That's a Spanish one that hasn't been proved, but who knows? Yule Gibbons said some parts are edible.
It has been said that traditionally, supposedly, I don't know how truth this is, but supposedly that pozole traditionally was made with human meat, and then only the priests and the nobility were allowed, the commoners were not. And so when the Spanish outlawed it, they chose pork because it's been said that pork is the closest taste to human meat.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
But
I haven't eaten any
I don't know about
humans
that
lately.
story, but I have heard accounts from other people that were cannibals that have been interviewed, and they described it that pork is the closest.
I believe cannibalism does exist, but in a small
Oh, it does exist,
population.
yeah.
But I don't believe in it when it was like hundreds or millions of people.
Yeah, I think it was used as an excuse by the Spaniards to cause horror and disgust, and this is the reason we're here in Mexico
it was
to
fake
kill
news.
these people and get rid of them. Please send us more weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
propaganda.
I think that was part of it.
Basically.
Yeah, there was a lot of really nasty stuff said. I was going to say about that.
I was going to ask you too. What part of the ancient times do you believe you're part of, or you're part of?
You mean like your ancestral people?
I don't think about that at all. It does nothing. None of that turns the light on. What I feel like I'm part of is I'm part of a lineage, and that's really. I mean, really, forget what I do, whether you like it or whether you don't, or what. No matter what it is, I'm part of a lineage. I play, and I keep playing these ancient instruments like my ancestors did. I'm just following something that was done a while back.
You just bring it to modern times.
I have a lot of modern people that I quote, and one of them was my favorite one is Snoop Dogg, where he goes, "Nothing I do is new." I thought that's me. Nothing I do is new.
Well, what would you say to those that are? Because I've seen actually this week, I've seen in different cultures they used like their ancestors' instruments, but they bring it into like in modern type of and then whatever genre that they like. So like let's say like for me, for instance, I like hearing ancient instruments, but I like to hear it into like hip hop or something like that.
Modernized.
Yeah, let them do it. That's fine.
I would love to see that.
It's that word that I talked about earlier, living tradition. Maybe our outfits are different and they didn't dress that way back then, but it's a living tradition. And living tradition, part of it means, it could mean that we're not informed well enough. We're not taught ourselves to really look back at what these outfits really look like. So we'll wear the outfit that my cousin had because I really like that pink lame with the yellow sequins and the ostrich feathers. Ostriches are not from the Americas. We put those on,
Yeah.
What feathers do we use? We use, pheasants and macaws and stuff like that. They had all kinds of other birds over there, But what I'm saying is, it's a living tradition because in order to keep it going, we try to keep it as well constructed as possible. So that's why we keep wearing these outfits that are definitely not from Poland, or Scandinavia. These are ideas that come from Mexico. No matter how risque looking they are or how covered up they are, those are Aztec outfits. And that's fine because it evolves as time goes on. It's a living tradition. I mean, I do the same thing what you're talking about. I'll play traditional, I'll play ceremonial, I'll do as much as I can, as close as I can to what we, quote, might have possibly known maybe was done a long time ago. I can't tell you that what I do is the way it was done a long time ago. We have no idea. We have some ideas based on research. And what we know about these instruments and dance practices and everything is that, number one, anything that was left over, any extant materials, that means existing drums, existing flutes, existing outfits, existing huaraches, what they look like, how they were used or whatever, and how they were used could be discerned by how they were placed in grave sites and things like that. That's just some of it. It's not all of it. And the other one is anything that's in murals, art, sculptures, artwork, and anything by any remote groups of indigenous people that are really, speaking only their own language and not Spanish. And they're doing as much as what we know from the ancient sources, the ancient chroniclers, what they wrote down, what they observed. Are they doing some of those same things? And so there's really not a lot, that we can guess how these things were done. I meant to say something else, but I forgot.
That's okay. And I wanted to shift gears a little bit now into more the philosophical.
Uh-oh.
And I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to be human?
What does it mean to be human? To be human is to experience, I feel, and I think that it meant we're an open book. And some scientists say that we only use, the first couple of pages of our book and we don't know the rest of it. So I think we're here to open that book and go to the next page and go to the next one, go all the way to the end and try to experience all the things that we can with the senses. So try to smell, try to taste all the things, touch everything that can be experienced. That's what we're made for. That's a really
beautiful way that I've never heard put before. Like, yeah, it's like a book and we experience just a few pages and then to open up more of that book.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just content with the first part.
And so, and a lot of my imagery comes from the things that I've read and things I've studied and about our culture. One of them is my idol, Nezahualcóyotl, Hungry Coyote. He was the king of Texcoco on 1402. He was alive from 1402 to 1472. And he was known as an architect, a man of divine wisdom, a musician. He did a lot of stuff, man. And one of the things he said was, your heart is a book of paintings. Because what did they do with the books? The codices, they painted them. That was the history, was painted down. So your heart is a book of paintings. It remembers all the pain and the sufferings and the knowledge and the happy times that we've gone through. And that's why I like to look at our life as like a book. We go through those next. We try to use all the pages we can, until we get to the end of our time. I just think that we're here to just do the best that we can. And I think, why do always, on the side, why is it always said in different cultures and in different people, do the best you can, be everything you can, be good. I know there's some people that are out there going, be evil, but most people say, be good, be kind to people, treat animals nicely, treat yourself nicely. And I think that's the whole experience of the human being. We need to be that way. That's old ancient knowledge from every culture.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe in diversity. There's no diversity. There's the same thing everywhere. Be good. Oh, we do that in Africa. Be good. Oh, we do that in Scandinavia. Be good. We do that in the Amazon.
Yeah,
don't hurt
true.
things. Don't destroy things. That's, I came up with a new word, commonality. And the little that I've studied about world culture is I've come to this. We have so much more in common than we have in differences.
Oh, absolutely.
So why do I need to know how different you are? Those people are different. I told you. See, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
See the way they act? That's how they are.
And that sounds judgmental.
That's diversity right there. But Martin, you don't understand it. It means there's different world languages. Who cares? Do you use your mouth for your language? Yeah, so do I. So there you go. Same thing. Do you use words? So do we. Do you express hate and love and laughter with your language? Yeah, well, so do we. So how different is your language than mine? I just don't understand it because it evolved differently in a different part of the world. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I don't acknowledge diversity when people call me, Martin, can you come and do a diversity show? Yeah. Then I get on stage and I start talking about commonality. There's really no differences. And that's why we wonder why there's different people being, we're better than you and we're better than you and, and you don't know our culture and you don't know ours. And it's like, come on. We're here to experience this whole, we breathe the same air,
Yeah.
We use words, we have memories, we have families. And
I got a question. What's a life lesson that you learned the hard way?
What's a life lesson I learned the hard way?
You got to think about that.
Well, no, because I can have some very nasty answers about that one.
Oh, feel free.
And what's the life lesson? In general, no matter what I've done, and no matter what most other people have done, and because we're humans, we have a lot of commonality and we do the same things. So this same thing that I'm going to say right now is something that everyone's done. One of the lessons I've learned, and how would you say it again?
What was that? Oh,
how did you say it again?
What was the question?
What's Jeez, I just had it right here. Hold on.
Is it what's the life lesson you learned the hard way?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you
I
go.
could tell you what it is doing something and not thinking about it before I did it.
Oh, there you go.
And that could be a whole, you could sit there, right? I know you, but you're everybody out there and you guys are brains. Yeah, I remember I did this one time and I did that. And then I met up with her and then I met up with him. And then I went to this place, and why did I do those things?
We weren't
because you did
doing it
before you went.
Yeah. Didn't think before you act.
Yeah. It's actually one of the all those things is a lot of the basis in how I teach when I'm doing artwork with the kids. And you go, and don't color it all black and come to me, Martin, it's all black. I don't know why I did that. Because you didn't think before you did it. You need to think about what you're going to do. When you put the black down, what's your next color? I don't know. Well, you should think about that. First thing I think of was black, red, and turquoise and gold. They go all wonderful together, because I know what I want to see. I know what I like. I think that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest life lesson because it can go into a whole lot of things I've done that I didn't like the outcome.
Yeah. Is there a belief that you hold which many people disagree? Like anything?
Oh, I can list a whole bunch of them. Oh.
You want to get all the haters to write you mail and stuff? I didn't like it when he was saying that, like this and that. He doesn't know. He hasn't been doing it as long as I have. Who cares? I don't know how to answer that one. So, say it one more time.
What's a belief that you hold, which many people don't agree?
I'm trying to think of an answer to that
seriously,
one too.
I don't think there's anything that people have not violently disagreed with me on. I mean, differences of opinion, that's one thing, but that's it. So really, I would say really nothing right now. Yeah.
For me, it would have to be, one of them would be, for me, the belief to be kind to the unkind. Because
okay. Yeah, I should have thought on that one. Right.
Because it's so easy to love those that are loving and love us, but when it comes to toxic people, racist, evil, whatever negative person, we shun them. But I feel like they deserve kindness more than your kind friend because they may never have experienced kindness in their life.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most people, it's like it's on opposite sides, and they're the enemy, and no kindness, no mercy. You have to destroy them.
Yeah.
It's that kind of mentality rather than reach out and show kindness to them.
Yeah, for me, I've been with forgiveness still. I mean, there's even people out there that, I shouldn't be forgiving, but I'm just like, dude, I just got to let it go. I mean, it already happened. It's in the past. Just let that shit go, man.
See, and part of me is I love joking about things. And some people, that's one thing that some people don't understand. Why? How can you joke about that? Because it hurts so bad that this thing happened. So sometimes I'll be joking about like the things you're talking about. Some people I really shouldn't forgive them, but I forgive them and I just have love for them, and I'm busy going kill. It's like, and it's okay. I didn't do a thing. I didn't do anything illegal. All I did was say that. It's out of my mind. It's out of my system.
Yeah, joking about things is
subconscious.
Good. Yeah. I love you, but I'd love to kill you.
I would love to kill you.
I told my daughter a long time ago. I wish there was two of you. She goes, why? Because so I can strangle one, and then just have the other one around.
But then, what if you want to strangle the one that's around?
Well, no, I won't have it. I can't do that because then I'll be in trouble. But if I could just get rid of the copies, let me do that real quick.
What if you had twins?
Or self,
I get rid of both of
or
them.
just cloning, just clone
Yeah.
it every single time you want to just do
Yeah,
something.
exactly. That's what cloning should be for.
Or like a technology I would love is the holodeck from Star Trek, where you can create like a virtual reality, and then it could feel as real, but it's a virtual reality.
Oh, good. I do a Raquel Welch virtual reality then. Yeah.
So then that would be cool. Just do like kill the virtual one.
Exactly.
But then I also believe, like, why do I want to kill that person? What is it about me that wants me to kill that person?
Because it's just like an inner weird thought that you have.
I know.
You know?
It's that dark humor.
And then there are those who are serious about those things, and well, we're not here to talk about them. But what I'm saying is that we have to watch where we're going and where we're thinking and things like that. And it's okay to think of all kinds of stuff. And it's not going to kill you, so to speak.
No. What lifts your spirits when life gets you down?
Gin and tonic.
Oh man,
yeah. A cigar, a Maduro, and
come to think about it, I haven't really smoked a cigar. I mean, I've tried it, but I don't know, man. I just don't really see much for it. But I mean, do you like when you smoke it, do you inhale it all the way or just
you don't inhale, you'll die.
Yeah, you just taste it.
Yeah, see, I don't know. It's just why not just get a cigarette then?
Well, I don't know, I'm not an authority on cigarettes, but I mean, you inhale it and people get a certain thing. They get, I mean, if I slap you in the face enough, you'll probably get used to it,
Probably.
And it's not the best thing in the world, right? It's like,
yeah.
But I think the same thing with tobacco. It doesn't really taste great, yet we inhale it and we go, well, I like it. Well, you got used to it,
I mean, I like smoking a cigarette or even a cigar or bud or anything like that when I'm drinking. But when I'm not, it doesn't really intrigue me.
Yeah. I just got into it because I like I was saying earlier, I like all kinds of different tastes, touch, smells, all kinds of, I just love it. And something about the Maduro, I love things that are burned and kind of smell burned. And there's a Maduro that's very soft. The other cigars that are lighter are they just don't have it. But when they're dark, they're moist. They have a nice earthy flavor, like the way an avocado or a very dark coffee or a chocolate. It's right in line with those things. It's in there with those things. And just through inhaling, you taste it in the inside of your mouth and let it go. And there's something about that just I feel good about it. It's a good thing. I don't do it a lot because it's not good for you, but I'll do it to bless the house, or I'll do it, like once every 2 or 3 or 4 months.
Have you ever tried any of the psychedelics?
Never do that. I don't have a reason to do that.
No. What if it's your third eye that you're missing?
What if it's a what?
What if it's your third eye that you're missing?
Third eye?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't felt anything in the pineal area lately.
There's more.
I've already got my alien connections going on.
No, but like, what about you, Ephraim? What lifts your spirit once life gets you down?
Geez, to be honest, I don't really know at this moment. At this very moment, I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm getting up, but I mean,
yeah, why do you get up? Just stay in bed.
Well, I'm not depressed or anything, so I'm not gonna be laying in bed. Just like
no, all I can hear from you is every word you're saying is dad, 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 dad. How can you don't wake up in the morning, dad? How can you don't want to eat this, dad? Those are all beautiful things. That's part of the journey, no? You can look back at it and go like, my God, what have I done?
Yeah, sometimes I just feel like I'm in autopilot.
And that's okay because you're functioning. Just make sure you don't fall asleep on the freeway.
Oh yeah, I don't drive. I have my own history on that.
The day that my daughter was born, I think Yvonne, you remember this one? Remember this? I said I was driving back on the freeway the day that Christine was born. The day that Christine was born, I was driving back home from the hospital, and I fell asleep on the freeway. I nearly had an accident. Did I ever tell you that? Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Unimportant details. My death.
I almost died, but it doesn't
But
really
I
matter.
remember that. I remember that. Trying to get off on the telegraph exit, and all of a sudden going like,
You know what it was? It wasn't that time.
No.
It was the time that we'd been smoking. I sat in the back, and we were coming from Letty's house in Altadena, and you were fucking falling asleep. So then I
really? I don't remember that. The time that they were smoking, huh?
Wow.
It's funny. Yeah, but yeah, it's just crazy stuff. But that's one of the things I like. I like those outside stimulations, you know. And you know, I don't really smoke anything else, but that and a nice drink and a nice coffee and cacao and monster movies.
What's your favorite monster movie?
Kaltiki, the Immortal Monster. You ever seen Kaltiki? You ever seen The Blob?
The Blob, yes.
I saw the remake, the 80s remake.
Okay,
not the original.
there were 2 or 3. But anyway, The Blob is this organic thing that goes and sucks everybody up and stuff like that. Then there was a Mexican one called Kaltiki.
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. It's one of my favorite ones. It's one of my favorite movies. Period. It's a horrible movie, but it's a great.
Well, then maybe
movie.
I won't watch it.
Really awful. But it's got some really cool things in there. I think it was really neat. It's called Kaltiki, the Immortal Monster. It's actually an Italian movie, but it's set in Mexico, where they go into this Mayan temple, and they find a pool in the middle, and there's all kinds of treasures at the bottom. So they go down there to retrieve some of the gold, because they're greedy people, and they come out of the water, and this blob comes out and attacks them, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
What about you, Chewy?
What about me?
Yeah, man.
What lifts my spirits?
Yeah.
I would have to say being out in nature, like going for a hike and listening to some good, soothing, calming music for the soul. But also like the ancestral music that really like lifts my spirits up. I feel like through that music, I'm reminded of the strength of our culture and our history and how we're survivors.
Right. Oh, don't think by me mentioning those other things that's the only thing that calls you. I thought he played spiritual instruments. And go, yeah, and I thought he was talking about sound and all this other bullshit. He goes, well, yeah, sound is one thing that definitely takes me away when or puts me in place when things are going wrong, when things don't feel good.
Yeah,
it's kind of like your coping mechanism right there.
Yeah, and it's also a coping mechanism and a self-betterment mechanism for everyone. Playing an instrument, singing. I'm not talking about just listening to music and thinking about music is a good thing. It's a different hormonal reward. But when you play an instrument or sing, that's an instrument too. Your levels are a lot different of hormonal reward. It's a more encompassing thing. So sound is a very powerful thing. Forget all my cigars and monster movies and pretty Mexican ladies. That's are wonderful things, and company of someone else that's really nice is a thing that makes your mind calm down too. Somebody you love.
We were talking about kind of like a horror in a way, like with the stuff with the movies. I do got a question. Do you have any fears?
Heights. I don't like heights.
So nothing like fearful in a way, like they would spook you, but more like just in the heights or something that's.
Scary movies. I love them. I love. Hate to say it, I love gore and B movie violence.
I know, right? B movie violence and everything,
intentional weird reality shit. I don't like that stuff. I don't want to see the faces of death. Forget that. I just don't.
I've actually seen that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
Yeah, I want to see aliens blowing up a city. That's what I love spaceships. And
how about you, Efrain?
Do
you have any fears?
Fears?
Do you have any fears?
Kind of in a way. I mean, I was thinking about life the other day, and my girlfriend asked me, like, what's my thought into like at the afterlife, and I just told her, I was like, to be honest, if I believe I exist in the afterlife, I'll keep on existing. But if I don't believe in nothing, then it will just be like that, just the power switch off, like a computer or TV. You won't exist.
What if you think that and then you die and you're like, oh, I was wrong. My puny human brain could not comprehend the vastness of the universe and the
Well,
cosmic dimension.
it is said that too, that we
Yeah.
can't even comprehend it. Even us understanding, like trying to understand it, we still are not capable of understanding it. Not even a percentage, almost.
Yeah. I love this one thing to talk about, the things that I like that formed who I am and all this other stuff like this, that like the outer limits thing. One of the I think it was the second episode is called The Galaxy Being. And this guy is on a computer and he's sending up signals to different parts of the constellations. And another person on another constellation is doing that same thing, only he's not supposed to use the equipment. And he's running a radio show. So he's not supposed to use the equipment there. So they both meet. And this alien goes, I'm not supposed to use the equipment. He goes, neither am I. And he goes, well, tell me what it's like where you are. He goes, do you have, what does he say? Do you have God where you are? And he goes, God? He goes, underlying principle of all that exists. And the alien goes, electromagnetic waves, exist. They go on forever. And he goes, but what about God? He goes, God is electromagnetic waves. They go on forever. And infinity is God. God is infinity. And the guy goes, wow. I love those things like that. That's why I like that show.
Yeah.
I was listening to that stuff, that kind of philosophy when I was like 8 years old, That was,
I mean, for those that don't know, they should look up different levels of existence, I guess you could say, because in ours, with us, we're just barely like not even in level 1 as mostly as what is told.
I think you're thinking I'm living my life to my fullest. No, you're not.
Yeah, but there's different realms, I guess, as more you evolve.
You mean like dimensions? Higher dimensions, yeah.
And it goes back to the thing I was saying that my pet peeve. I mean, usually when I say something, I talk like a guru. I've learned I don't say one thing. I'm talking about a whole bunch of other shit, And one of them is that we're not taught to investigate.
Yeah.
Don't turn that next page on the book. You've got another 3,000 pages left to go before you complete to have any slightest idea who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. But don't turn that page. You don't need to. I want you to buy. Kind
of reminds me of in a contract when they gives you the little, the warning ones at the very, very bottom, and it's so tiny, but everything else is so big.
Continued investigation of yourself could cause self-awareness, heightened sense of reality, more better purpose of life.
But
I think it's a complex thing because like schools don't teach us to think; they teach us what to think.
Yeah,
they program us, they indoctrinate us, but they don't really foster that curiosity anymore, that investigation.
One thing that got me is I realized I wasn't taught how to learn.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, I have to learn now. If I read a book on ancient Mexico, I got to read the book 3 times before I get it. I wasn't taught to read everything and whatever it is people would do to make them memorize it. I got to read things over and over again.
Yeah,
and then a few years later, I got to come back and read it again.
I think that's a different type of learning, though. I mean, some people learn just hands-on. Some people learn just by hearing. Some people learn by looking. So.
That's true. I'm particularly talking about reading books and getting knowledge from books. Experiential things in life. Getting burned in the fire. Yeah, I'll remember that.
Yeah, but
don't stick your hand in the fire.
That's kind of what I'm saying, though. Like even with let's say if there's a book of knowledge or something, a lot of people won't really go into, because some people don't really like learning all that literature stuff. But if they're being told about it, or read the book by it, then they will hear it and understand it better.
I've always said one of the scariest ways to not know what you're doing and who you are is to not be told that you're not doing that. You're unaware of what you're doing, unaware who you are, what your purpose is, and everything like that. Is because no one's telling you. No one's telling you that you're not doing it. No one's telling you you're not investigating. You think that you're out there having a good time with your life and you're living it to its fullest, but you're not. And
You're just
you
living
can go
the
ahead and
life
be
that
happy.
others want you.
Yeah, you can go ahead and be happy forever and ever and ever, and that's good. I'm glad. But if there's a chance to make things a little better and turn that page and go to the next one and go to the next one, you may not get to the rest of the end of the book, but like I was saying earlier, it's more like that book. But at least you get somewhere. I just find it very disheartening that there's a lot of unawareness going on. A lot. It's just a disease.
I don't know if you mind me asking, but do you mind if I ask how what's your age?
66.
66.
Mm-hmm.
How has life changed from way back then to now?
Things are still stupid as they were back then.
Because we're stubborn as a species.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a drop in the bucket. I mean, there's things I wish I wouldn't have done that I did, but everyone's done that. But then that comes out to that philosophy I was telling you, because you don't think about what you're doing when you do it. And sometimes even when you think, you're not even well informed.
So if you could change the world, what would be one thing that you could change about it?
Make awareness a very, very important thing. Awareness of yourself, awareness of who you are, where you come from, so that you get to know who you are, and that you'll see when you see where you come from and who you are, that you'll see that those other people across the street have the same origin. They may be from Kazakhstan and Africa, and they may be from the North Pole, but we're all the same. We have the same. We just speak different languages. We use our mouth. We have so much in common, and that we teach that we're all part of one big thing. We're part of one organic organism.
Is that how you feel like if we were to speak to our enemies too?
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's say if you were to look into the heart of your enemy, what would be so different from them? Like, what would they see different in you?
I don't know. I mean, I would say one of them is sometimes in people that are, I don't really have enemies, but the people that I've seen that are just not good for me are those that think in terms of, let's do something hurtful to you. Let's say something hurtful to you. Let's create something hurtful to you. And they keep doing it.
Some people say it's just to see your reaction on how you would handle the situation.
It's whatever, but it's still stupid. No one needs to be acting that way. It's, I might say something wrong and you will purposefully misinterpret it.
I mean, I still feel sometimes I'm battling that a little bit, because I mean, even that, I'll say that in my personal experience, I used to instigate a lot of things, and I know it's a really bad thing, but I would just like to stir
That's
up
kind of
just
cool.
things. I mean, if you're with another jokester, yeah, then it becomes funny, because now we're both in on it, and it's just like, it's really cool. But if you understand in that mind level or mindset that it's a little dumb or anything like that, but it's so funny to me. I don't know why, but yeah, just stirring up things and just making to see how they would react to it. It was just fun.
My daughter's a little bit like that. She's like, you little instigator.
Yeah,
but she does say that too. She does that sometimes out of boredom.
Yeah, exactly. It's just. I mean, there's nothing amusing going on, so I'm just like, man, let's see.
Well, it's better that than say, honey, why'd you shoot me? I was bored.
I don't know. I wanted to ask you, what lesson you learned would you like to share with the younger generation?
It's the same thing. Awareness, be aware of who you are, where you come from, and see that everyone else is we all come, we're all indigenous. Wait a minute. I thought only Indians were indigenous. No. We're all indigenous. We're all from the same planet. realize it. No one eats weird food. No one has weird names. You use your mouth to eat. There's a commonality.
That's why sometimes I like to open the show with "Hello, citizen of Earth," because we're all citizens of Earth.
There you go. Yeah, fellow organisms.
Yeah.
How about you, Et? What lesson would you? How about you? What lesson would you like to learn, or what lesson learned would you like to share with the younger generation?
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I was telling you is when I was, one thing if I could teach. Remember that question? It was one of those things that I wanted to teach is the youngsters is just how to deal with their emotions or how to channel through what they're going through. A lot of kids don't know exactly what's going on within themselves, and they just start acting out. But they don't understand what's causing them to really act out. They're just doing it, without even thinking.
And that is the thing I'm talking about. See, it's the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was doing that. Look, you're not freaking aware. Wake up. One of the best things to do for all this, and I'm not the master of the universe on any of this, but I started doing meditation when I was 11, and it took me through everything. It helped me out. Now that I look back on it, now that I'm kind of like, what do you call it? Reviving it. I do it still, but I did it so much when I was younger. Most people don't know this, that I've done it so much when I was younger that it helped me do the things I did back then to get better at things. It helped me, like it opened up my mind to my mind was going like, you got to learn more about yourself.
Yeah, meditation is very powerful.
I don't know why that came up. That just came up, and all the different things that happened to me over time, like that silly commercial that I was telling you about in the beginning, where who am I? It's like, who are you?
You know what I want to have in the show one day? It's one of those what are they called? Shaolin monks or
Shaolin monks.
There you go. Because they study from a really, really young age. So I want to know how they go through. Do they go through like meditation as well and all that?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
That's actually been on my mind, ET, to have a Shaolin monk on the show as a guest.
Because that would be interesting.
Yeah, don't get any plastic, what they call plastic shamans that got their 6-week shamanic certificate in Malibu Beach
online,
and with flowing white robes and a blonde wig, or a brown-haired wig too. It doesn't matter.
But for me, my answer to the question, what I would like the younger generation to learn, it's basically what many people throughout history have been saying, and that is, in the end, all that really matters is love.
Yeah.
And not just love for your fellow human, but love for other life on the planet and love for ourselves, because we're so self-critical of ourselves. We're so judgmental of ourselves. It's just to love yourself as well. And not the selfish kind of love. Like people have that ego. That's not really love, but when you're like non-judgmental of yourself and you accept yourself, you don't criticize your body, you don't criticize. You just accept yourself.
When you start accepting yourself, you start being able to accept other people.
Exactly.
You know who that reminds you of? That reminds you of Bob Marley.
One Love.
Because he was spreading.
Yeah, but the thing about that though is like I find it a paradox. Many years ago, I realized that our like choice in music, I believe love is the most dominant topic in music. Songs, love songs about love, but yet
we're very concerned with it.
But yet, if we don't really practice it, because then the world would be loving if we actually followed and listened to the songs and absorbed it rather than just, it sounds nice. But we're so obsessed with love, romantic movies, love songs, but we don't really follow it. We just kind of hear it, but we don't really listen.
Be nice if they had instead of a large militaristic organization, trying to research the next bomb, they should have spend millions of dollars on researching love.
Researching love, yeah.
Researching self-awareness and researching meditation and things like that. Like I said, meditation, I'll tell everybody out there in the audience, all of you guys, that's the thing. Learn to do meditation. And it's not like Alan Watts had once said, because if you do meditation to think that you're going to make yourself better, you're not doing it right. You do it because it's part of a human experience to stop and calm all the noise down.
Yeah.
And when you do that and you do regular breathing, rhythmic, I mean, not a breathing of where it's even breath, 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 that actually, I forget though, I did my research and I forgot it. It affects one part of the brain that has to do with decision making and clarity of mind. That's why you do those breathing exercises. It's not just I'm going to go om, and and also one sound also activates the mind to relax and chill out.
Mm.
And then
there's
you
different kinds of meditation too.
and you come out of this stuff with just a little bit of focus. It's almost like you're constantly going. Alan Watts is a wonderful guy. He's the English guy that studied Buddhism, and he's like the synthesizer. He's a really great voice for what Eastern thought is. Eastern thought is really no different than any of the Mexica thought either. Just different beliefs and different ways of doing it, but the same thing. Like he said, we all have a lot of noise going on in our head, and frankly, we need to learn how to shut up.
Yeah, quiet the mind.
And then once you shut up, get that out of your head, you come back into your life again, and you have just a little more clarity.
Yeah, it's so powerful, meditation, and even science has discovered that it actually physically changes your brain. They scan the brains of long-term meditators, and it shrinks the part that deals with fear, anger, depression, and it increases the part of the brain that deals with empathy, love, pain tolerance.
And that takes you to the next page in the book. Makes you go on to the next one to go into something else and get into something else. And it also is going to help you figure out what kind of people you want to be around with, who you're going to be with,
And it baffles me. It baffles me how powerful meditation is, but yet it's not something that's taught in schools. It's not something that's like shared. It's just like,
I did a workshop at a school one time. Yeah, I did a workshop at a school one time, and the principal, she was Chicana, and we were out in Encinitas. She was a friend of mine, and she would share these things. We'd get in her office, and she goes, "Artin, close the door." And I go, "Oh gosh, she's gonna talk some shit to me." So we're in there. She's going like, "These people over here." He goes, we had a meditation and a yoga program going on, and someone came over and said, "Why are you teaching religion?" I'm going, there's a lot of money over there, but a lot of stupid people. We did Day of the Dead. And she said, "I got to tell you, close the door." And I go, "Oh, God, what's happening now?" And it's just, because there's this one person that says they will not have their kid attend your Day of the Dead thing. I go, "Why? They don't even know me." I go, "Well, because they don't believe in it." Believe in what?
It's more like they don't understand it.
They think they're going to live forever? I mean, I said, "I'm being sarcastic with you." What are they afraid of? This is all we're doing is showing, here's what my culture is, and then we turn over, here's what your culture is. Look in the mirror. Who are you? Where are you from? You're alive. You're not going to be around forever. And so while you're alive, you do the best you can. That's what Dia de los Muertos is about. To me, it's about doing the best you can with the little time you have. Even Nezahualcóyotl said that constantly in his poems. Talk about death all the time. We're not here. We do not belong here. We only come here to dream. He said it in so many different ways.
I certainly believe that. This is just a passing life. That I believe we're eternal. And we just have the illusion that this is it. But because we're trapped, we're in this container, this human container, and we experience time. But when we go to higher dimensions, it's timeless.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that in sort of a different way. He says, I am the singer. My songs will go on forever. And he realizes this that towards the end of his life, in the beginning, he's going like, why do I have to leave? Why do I have to, why do I have to go? All the princes must die too. We all must go to the world of the fleshless. And I thought that you got to read Nezahualcóyotl, man. He's the bomb.
I bought the book that has some of his poems in it. I haven't got to it yet, but he does say a lot of good, beautiful words and beautiful poetry.
Yeah.
I got a picture book too that has some of his poems. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a book called 15 Poets of the Aztec World.
That one I bought.
And that's Miguel León Portilla, very, very good researcher I can recommend to people. There's also a great other book for I think these are knowledge books. These are scholarly books, but they're also, when you read about things that are really well researched, they become self-awareness books. And the other one he did was Aztec Thought and Culture.
That's on my to-read list.
He should have, even though he used the word Mexica, he should have used the word Mexica. But I'm sure he knew that when you're going to sell a book, if you put Aztec Thought and Culture, people, oh, I know what that is. But
Right.
if you see a book that Mexica, Mexica, what is that word? I don't know what that word is.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish that we move away from, that whole Aztec, word that was, from what I read, was made up in a scholarly sense a couple hundred years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
Not that long
the
ago.
actual Mexica is what they called themselves and what they were actually called.
Yeah, the Mexicans lived in Mexico. Mexico. What's what they call it? Because the Spaniards couldn't pronounce our language. They couldn't. There's no sh in Spanish, so they said Mexico.
Yeah.
I get a lot of Mexicans that are like shocked. They go, also, do you know what Mexico means? They look at me like, what planet am I from?
No, I know. When I seen a kid called Xavier, I was like, well, I used to say Xavier, but
Xavier.
but
yeah, that's what you know.
Yeah.
But what does Mexico mean? Because I've heard different.
Umbligo de la luna.
Really?
Yeah, belly button of the moon.
See, that's why I asked you, because one thing I've heard that it's people say is the place of the Mexico.
No.
But I was like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right.
No, that's the sidewalk Nahuatl scholars. Yeah.
So it's the belly button.
Belly button of the moon. Yeah.
Interesting.
And if you think about it, that's the location, because all of Mexico, they didn't call it Mexico. They call it Anahuac, right?
Anahuac, yeah.
Yeah. That, which means that which is surrounded by water on both sides.
Yeah.
That's what it means. And Mexico is flat land, and it goes down into a valley, and there's the belly button in the valley, and all the water and the two volcanoes, when Iztaccíhuatl and Popocatépetl, when they would erupt, all the ash would come up, and it would go down, and when the rains wash it, where they wash it, to the lowest point, goes down in the valley becomes very fertile. What's the belly button for? That's where they feed the little baby, and a fertile valley feeds all the people. That's really cool. That's why
that is cool.
They settled there. All human cultures that are, some of the ones, I should say, some of the human cultures that are really big all settled near water, the Tigris and the Euphrates, the Valley of Mexico, the Amazon, the Nile.
One thing I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about ancient Mexico, is what are your thoughts of the small movement by some people saying that the Olmecs were actually Africans?
There's no DNA. And also, if you see these people, I've seen some. I was very close to one person who was of that ascendancy. And if you look at their lips, they're not like black people's lips. You have to look very good. Their lips are not round and out. They're actually pushed up, and it's part of the upper. It's part of the way it looks.
Yeah.
And
I've seen a picture.
The head's real narrow, like the real and bigger cheeks. When I went over there, I spent a month over there in Tabasco, and one of the persons that I met was a daughter of a friend of mine, and not a daughter, the brother, and when I met Gustavo, I go, "You look like," he goes, "Yeah, I know." And I go, "What do you know?" He goes, "The head of San Lorenzo, the one that everybody knows is the big Olmec head, because it had the big upper cheek jaws and the nose that came out and a narrow head." And they go, "Nobody put boards on you when you were little." He goes, "No. There's just people that actually look like that."
Yeah, I've seen pictures of modern day people in Mexico that are more indigenous, and then they have like their face is split, and then the other side of the face it matches perfectly with an Olmec statue head.
Yeah, and we that whole I read some stuff on it, and it's based on observation. They're going like, look at his lips. They're like an African guy's lips. Okay, you could say the same thing. They look like, to me, they look like Filipino people. You look at the people from. Has anybody from the Amazon ever noticed? Anybody that knows people from the Amazon ever noticed how much they really look like they're from the Philippines or Cambodia?
I actually have noticed that.
Yeah. So what's it? What are we trying to say? And well, anyway, in the long run, who cares? I mean, because if you want to assign that, cool. If you want to prove it, that's a different bag.
Yeah.
They would have to go to.
If you want to go ahead and believe that, I could say go ahead and believe it as long as it brings you peace in your life, and but don't shove it down my throat as the truth when you don't know. If you don't know what's the absolute truth, don't throw it at me.
Have you ever did any of those DNA testing?
No, my brother did. I have to do it because he goes, I took the test. I go, yeah. Because what happened? He goes, well, I'm 50% indigenous. I go, what's the other half? He goes, well, I don't know. I go, well, you took the test. He goes, well, it's in the computer. I go, dude, you should look at it and see what it is. So I got to do it. So as far as I understand,
I did it, and it's really cool seeing your background.
Of course, he was a jerk saying that he was 50% indigenous, and I'm not.
No,
I'm his brother. So I got to be 50% indigenous too.
What if you're not?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it could fluctuate because I read that some of the percentages will be a little bit different. So you will be probably around that same, but it might not be exactly 51 because in the time of your conception, maybe specific genes were passed more than others.
Oh, what do you know, Shiwi?
At least, no, but I'm saying that's what they say on their website too. That
who are they?
Have slightly.
Who are they?
Who are they?
It's the colonizers.
What do they know? Not.
I make fun of all that stuff. It's like,
no, that's good. It's good to question stuff like that.
Yeah. I have read. Okay, well, who did you read?
Yeah.
I understand
where
that.
Where did they get it from?
I understand that. Where do you understand it from?
Just follow the train of thought.
Exactly.
I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know how we're talking about kind of your history, but we're talking about how you grew up and what inspired you and everything like that. But
right.
What I want to talk about is kind of like an impact. What impact do you want to do or leave when you pass away? Like, how do you want people to
what impact you want to leave on the world?
Yeah.
What impact? Well, that I was someone that tried to turn that next. I'm keeping on a route. What do you call it? I'm following a motif that I set up. Okay, the whole idea of the book, that we're the book and we don't use the whole book. And I'd like to be known as someone that just tried to turn that next page, and someone that held the book up to you and said, "Look what I did. I took myself to meditation. I took myself to become aware of my ancestors and try to maybe come micro in a micro way, get close to maybe what it sounded like a long time ago, and maybe preserve it just a little bit so I can push it off to the future and you go study." I'd like to be known as something that not like, oh, he sounded really cool. I don't care about that, but I do. And it's nice. I'm glad you do. I think it sounds cool, and sometimes there's good reasons. Oh, it's relaxing. Okay, good. I'm glad it's relaxing. Why? Study. Why? It's a neuroscience thing, and I just want to be known as someone that just said, grabbed the cage and shook it and said, "Who the heck are you? Where are you from? What are you doing?" That'll affect your decision making and everything like that. And, oh, what about the decisions you made, Martin? Well, yeah, I mean, I can't go back on that stuff. It's like I say, I can't go back in the past and kill everybody, but I can definitely at least teach my classes and say, hey, don't do what I did, or do what I do that's really good, but do it now. Don't do it when I did it later.
And then they ask you why.
Yeah, because it makes it better. One of the things that pisses me off now is people are going, "I'm so glad you're exercising and doing all this stuff." I'm pissed that I'm doing it right now. I just decided to make it a habit to go to the gym at 66. You should be doing that when you're 25.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the weight that I picked up if I had been practicing a good way of eating when I was 18.
I see that with
doing it
people
now.
too.
Yeah,
When they get older, they focus on
oh
eating
my
healthy.
God, I'm gonna die. I better take care of myself. That's what I did. Instead of saying it's part of your everyday life to do this.
Yep,
I still
exactly.
battle just like everybody else does. Of like, ooh, should I eat this? It's 10 o'clock. I really want the quesadilla.
I always give in.
Yeah. It's the ancestors calling me, man. You know what I'm talking about? They said it in a hip hop song, man. It's like, eat the quesadilla at night when you're alone.
Nobody's around,
Or
man.
what did Taco Bell say?
On the comal, not the phone.
Like Taco Bell used to say in their ads, like the late night dinner, the fourth dinner, whatever. The late night,
That's good.
the fourth meal or whatever they call it.
The fourth meal.
Yeah, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dinner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always believed since I was younger, like in my early 20s, I came across this quote that really impacted me. And it was, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
That's good. That's good.
And
How old are you, Shiwit?
I'm 34.
I always laugh at people that are 34.
Why is that?
They go, when I was younger. You're freaking young right now. Shut up. It's like,
well, I'm young, but when I was younger. Okay, if I said I was young, okay, I'm still young. But
in my pre-awareness stage.
When I was younger 5 years ago.
There you go. Yeah.
No. That sounds like my daughter, though. She's only 6 years old, and she's like, when I was a little girl, and I was like, baby, you're still
you are a clown.
Yeah, my daughter says that. She's 13, but she's like, when I was a kid, I'm like, you still are a kid.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with us, man. Like that's how Martin's talking about. Like if we were
what about Martin? Well, he's near death. I was like,
no.
I'm not old. I'm just near death. It's like,
yeah. How old do you would like to be?
How would I like to be?
Mm-hmm.
I like where I am right now. I feel just as nutty as I was a long time ago. I actually feel crazier and more energetic than I ever have.
More alive.
Yeah. It's because it's a culmination of a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Life experiences.
Of course. I think everybody would say, I wish I was 20 again with the same experience of a 66-year-old. I would dig.
I would love to go back to school with the knowledge I have now. Man, I would troll the teachers so bad.
Yeah.
I would question why.
Yeah,
why?
I would dig that. And you got a few extra years to do it too, Yeah.
But we're near the end of our runtime here, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions, but these are just more like quick answers, not think about it too much, just whatever first comes into your mind. And it's, what's your favorite breakfast?
Oh, come on. Those are long answers.
Or a favorite breakfast. It doesn't have to be the one.
Okay, a favorite breakfast?
Yeah.
Chilaquiles at Moles La Tia, which closed during COVID and never opened up. And they would have pipián, which is the red mole made with the pumpkin seeds that are roasted. On top of that, with the scrambled egg, with some nice, naturally made venado frijoles, and handmade tortilla with a little Oaxaca cheese in there, and a café de olla. Oh yeah!
Oh man, that sounds good right about now.
Oh yes!
I like how you were visualizing it. You had your eyes closed and you were just visualizing it.
Yeah. I was eating while I was thinking.
And what's a favorite song or movie?
Blade Runner is my favorite movie. And I always said I wanted to be buried with a copy of Blade Runner, a director's edition.
I was going to ask you which cut. There's like 5 of them.
Actually, the first one I like the first one best.
The theatric cut?
Yeah, because he was doing the background. He would be sitting and you'd hear his voice in the back.
Oh yeah, the voiceover.
Yeah, sushi. That's what my wife called me. I was a fish or something like that.
How about song? What's a favorite song?
Oh God, I have a whole bunch of them, and every time I hear something, I go, "That's my favorite one." I think I'm going to use a wrong term because it doesn't doesn't stick to other cultures. But I would say my favorite, not song so much, my favorite style is ambient or meditational music. I love listening to.
Yeah, I love that.
Long,
ambient. What's ambient?
Ambient meditation music, like that's relaxing.
I can listen to 8 hours of gongs. You know, I love that. Water, sound. It just basically goes back to that same thing, sound, and how sound affects your well-being. You know.
Yeah. The next one is, what gets you up in the morning?
Having to do it.
Right. Gotta hit the alarm button.
Yeah, if I don't get up, someone's gonna go, "How come you're not up?" You know.
That's how I feel in my life right now.
I got the response over here. So that's exactly what I had to say.
And what do you believe happens when we physically die?
I think it's like that, like the galaxy being said in Outer Limits. You know, electromagnetic waves, they leave and they go on forever, and they're out there floating around. You know,
That's beautiful.
I don't think I resurrect or anything like that. You know, I don't think so.
What would be your biggest regret if this was your last day? Sorry to get morbid there.
What would I really regret? I don't know how to say it. I had a lot of nice lady friends when I was in high school, and they were my good friends. And I thought, it would have been nice to have been in love with one of them, but she left and went away. And I never saw her again. That was a long time ago. Don't know what ever happened, you know. And that's one that was kind of a sad one. Yeah.
I'm sure we can all relate to that one at some point. You know what we
La que se fue, you know.
What if?
But no, not for a bad reason.
The one that
last
got
one
away.
is
the white buffalo.
Last one is white buffalo. Last one is, if you had 30 seconds to speak to everyone in the whole world at the same time, what would you say?
Wake up.
That sums it.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Yeah,
to all the sounds, to the feelings, to the tastes, to the senses, to your awareness, wake up to the stupid things you did, wake up to the stupid things you're doing, wake up to the good things that you could be doing, wake up to the good things that you're already doing to make them better and do more. You know, I think that's what it's all about, just doing something really good, you know, doing the best we can. Because then you're using every potential you can, as much as you can, using as much as that brain that we don't use. You know, if there was a way I could find how to use the rest of it, man, I'll do it right away. You know, they say that being a musician, because if you take lessons and things like that, I can't remember the exact clinical reason why, but excuse me, that's my phone. I have to have it loud so I can hear it. But
how's that vintage horn from the 20s to the cars?
Yeah. It's got to be something irritating. It irritates. I don't like that sound, so that makes me get up and answer the phone.
Yeah. I use the military alarm, the horn.
Yes, that's irritating too. Yeah.
Yeah, that gets me up right away.
Yeah. But I think did I answer the question? I can't remember. Yeah.
You said wake up. Essentially, wake up.
Yeah. Look at where you're at. Look who you are. You know.
Yeah.
Simple. Forget who I am. Forget what I did. But just how about play a joke on me? Just forget Martin. Screw him. I'm gonna wake up and just see what. Hey, this is pretty damn cool. Wow.
Yeah.
You want to be cool? That's not what you wear. It's what's on the inside. Be cool. You make yourself cooler by everything that's on the inside. One of the problems is with that is you become very aware of a lot of things, and it becomes hard sometimes to have relationships with other people because you realize, oh my God, why are they doing that? You know, I like this one person, but why do they do that? And I can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could see that it could be easily solved, but it's just not being solved. You know, and I see it so much, you know, and I see it in friends, I see it in, you know, family and things like that. And I just wish I could change everything, but the only thing I can do is just, you know, it's like Nesahualcóyotl said, just, you know, the earth is vast indeed. Let those who are angry be the way they are, you know, because the earth is vast indeed. May your heart find its way.
That's
I mean,
beautiful.
that echoed with me so much. You know, it's like, may your heart find its way. Well, I know where it's going, but it's nice to hear that, you know, that I can follow something.
Now you make me want to read that book. Since I have it, it's been sitting on my shelf, but I just get other books that take priority.
No,
But
make
yeah,
that
I'm gonna get
make
into
that shit
it.
a priority. That's a great,
At least read one poem a day, at least.
yeah.
If not the
That's
whole
very,
book in
very.
one sitting.
At least read the Nesahualcóyotl ones. You know, I mean, one of the most favorite ones that I tell my audiences when I get a chance to read the poems, I read them in Nahuatl, in English and Spanish. There's one called Chopancuicatl, a springtime song, and he basically says, and maybe I could be wrong, but at least my interpretation I think is a pretty nice one. He says, in the house of springtime, you make people happy, you make the drums. And I thought, what does he mean, the house of springtime? Maybe there is a house of springtime, because they had a house of songs, you know. But I thought, house of springtime, house, something that's contained. You are contained in a house. In the house of springtime. Wait, that means when I'm younger. So I thought it's a nice message I take. I'll go, in the house of springtime, you make people happy. He doesn't say like you should. He goes, that's your job to make people happy. When you're younger, you do the best you can so that when you could, because he doesn't say it, when you get older, you just get better. You know? So yeah, it's my long cosmic message for the ancestors.
Well, that's beautiful.
The same thing you guys are doing right now.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Thanks for talking to me. Yeah, you're welcome, man. Thanks for. I got a lot more to say, but
we'll have you on in the future again.
There was a lot of things to say, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard, even with 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking at the time, going, I'm not done.
We normally do an hour and a half, but with the time, it was like it's got to be at least 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll do the next one. We'll do a tequila one, okay?
Oh, tequila one. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, a mezcal one. There'll be three little cups in the screen, and we'll, you know.
And we still have plans to road trip, so we can actually do it in person one day as well. Yeah,
that sounds cool.
Hopefully,
I would love to do some
this year, next year.
I would love to do some musical sounds for you. If you want, I can send you like a little music that you can want to start it off with, or a trailer.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's a real beautiful one that I did called Transcendencia. Transcendencia is like 7 conch shells, and it's all just it's freaking cosmic. You know, you can use an excerpt of it if you want, but I'll send you some stuff, and you know, if you have time, and feel free and all that stuff. But again, thank you much. Thank you for pushing the realm of human existence just a little further. You know, maybe maybe some people out there listen to what we're saying, and you know, we're not just talking shit. We're talking shit about the real thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're talking shit about. If you want to look at the vernacular that way. Yeah.
Well
you
said.
bet I'm talking shit.
And I want to end it with a quote that says, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than the ones that you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Mark Twain said that.
Right on. That's great.
I love that quote.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's. Yeah. There's the commonality. I mean, that wish to, what is it? The wish to go beyond, and to make things better. Is a universal thought across cultures. You know. Yeah. It's not a black or a white or a Asian or an alien or whatever thing. It's a human condition. You know.
Yeah.
Bless you guys. Thank you much.
Yeah. Take care, and you out there, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.